In this case, feeding thousands of patrons.
But
A lot of double entendre there. Well, Trump goes for the Hunter and tries to see if he can take out the Mage. This is going to be a little tricky. Mana Worm to start things off for Firebat is very good, but he needs more than just Flame Strike and Loatheb.
yeah, this is the matchup I was really worried about for Firebat's perspective. Is Trump has a copy of Flare in here and also has a tracking to help dig for that. Not only that, but sometimes this Mage deck does not line up very well versus what Hunter's trying to do. If they get off to a blistering start, you don't have a couple of early game cards, you're going to get run over. So this is really going to come down to how the first couple of turns of this unfold, and whether or not Firebat has to rely on a secret, or whether or not he's just going to be able to power through with some strong 4-drops.
Yeah, I would expect Firebat to go in there kind of looking for Flame Waker really early, something that allows him to contest the board long before Flame Strike. Flame Strike can be a great card against Hunter, but a lot of times he can come in just a little bit too late, so Flame Waker does allow him to contest board, deal with some of the lower HP minions that mid-range Hunter is going to play. He keeps the Mana Worm, obviously you don't get rid of that, and he ends up with 2 Fireballs and a Shredder, which is really not what you want at all in your opening.
You said 4 drops, right?
Yeah.
Well, 4 drops, not for,
I dropped that Fireball in a minion anytime, any day. Also, another very subtle thing that Trump did that people we didn't talk about, so they might have missed, is that Trump also threw away tracking. And tracking is really powerful as the game develops, because even though you could play it on turn 1, the problem is you're not sure if you need tracking immediately.
Wow, this is a really interesting play from Trump. I mean, he has straight away coined into Eaglehorn Bow to start taking care of these Mana Worms. Instead, he's elected to go for Mad Scientist. So this is going to put Firebat in a spot where he's going to have to figure out whether or not he wants to push damage or trade with the Mad Scientist. Makes a pretty rare situation where he starts trading, but a pretty strong read. He realizes that if Trump does have Eaglehorn Bow, it's pretty tough to really climb out of that situation.
I think he wants to also protect the Sorcerer's Apprentice. Saying,
Yeah.
like, even if he does or doesn't have Bow, the point is I don't want Sorcerer's Apprentice to die very easily and ultimately make my Mana Worms very vulnerable. So I think this is a pretty appropriate line for Firebat to take this trade.
Yeah, and going over to Firebat's hand, he's going to have a lot more options coming up on this turn 4. Piloted Shredder is going to come out, unless he draws something better. It's going to allow him to put a lot of pressure on the board. Might test to see what the secret is first, although he probably knows if he's gone ahead and seen what Trump has been playing.
Yeah, but he doesn't need to attack because he doesn't have very favorable follow-ups. He gets 1 extra damage by attacking now, versus next turn he can force the bow to not attack, and then attack, have 5 power afterwards to evaluate what he needs to do.
Yeah, that's also assuming this is Freezing Trap.
Good point.
Firebat doesn't exactly know what these are.
Could be Snake Trap.
It could also potentially be Explosive Trap. I don't know if we've seen all of Trump's secrets this event. It's a possibility we have. I know that we have seen Freezing and Snake. But outside of that, not 100% read on what these are.
And Trump not going to play too greedy and assume that his opponent will trigger the weapon charge. Instead, just immediately picks it off. Flame Waker is good on paper, but not in this scenario because you don't have a spell to actually couple it with.
Well, we just got some news that that secret is in fact Snake Trap. So we may see a little bit of a different gameplay.
I mean, it could be Snipe, but it's not. But it's not.
Archon was playing Snipe in their Hunter decks for quite a while.
The value of Snipe is that nobody expects it to be Snipe.
Yeah, no, they were really playing it. They were making.
I thought you were winking at me or something.
No, they were making great use of it, just as a strong tempo play. They were just picking off piloted shredders, then using the bow to take out the second half.
Mm-hmm.
That's definitely one way to handle a piloted shredder.
That's good.
I wonder if Trump's going to seek a way to kill out this Flame Waker immediately with the kill command and just try to fill out the rest of the mana curve with some of the cheaper mana spells here.
Yeah, none of these 3 are really going to kill it, but this will solidify his game afterwards. And Savannah Highmane, extremely powerful if he can manage to go even in this game. And given his hand context, it looks like he's going to be able to kill command on that Flame Waker, a Web Spinner, and a Haunted Creeper out. I think he may have full control of this game.
Yeah, Firebat does have burn, though. That is something that is nice.
Yeah, he may end up burning a Savannah Highmane, though.
It's possible. But, if there's one thing I do know about Firebat, it's that he loves to push damage and put his opponents in uncomfortable spots. This may be one of the games he tries to do it, but even if that happens, Trump's got Houndmaster and Loatheb to try to shut that down.
Yeah, it's almost certain that his hand is telling him to be aggressive. He's got 2 Fireballs. He's got Dr. Boom to follow it up. So he's going to try to position himself where he's playing these threats and forcing his opponent to react to them and hopefully trade into his minions as opposed to the other way around.
Yeah, and I think Firebat's considering fireballing here and what the trade-offs actually mean for it. But I would venture to say in this position, if he fireballs, his game plan is pretty much given up at this point, and that may not be something he wants to commit to quite yet, or let Trump know that he has in mind.
It's also one of those things where, because you know it's Snake Trap, it doesn't feel very good at all to trade, and as you guys have already said, his hand is very aggressive, right? He has Dr. Boom next turn. The question is whether or not he fireballs now, but that Snake Trap may not even get proc this game.
Well, Firebat's not exactly the most subtle player I've ever had the pleasure of watching play.
He actually told me one time that he thinks it's 100% correct to always set up 2-turn lethals, assuming you don't die immediately. And he says he doesn't care how aggressive or subtle or discreet it is. Just do it.
Yeah.
So sometimes it involves swiping the face twice in turn 8 so you can combo it. Do it. Well, if that's the right line. So
I've been there before, and I've certainly played against him when he's doing that too. It's not a comfortable position to be in.
Yeah, once you kind of show your opponent that you're definitely looking to kill them on the next turn, things can get a little bit dicey, but you know, we've seen a lot of players over the course of this tournament be forced in that position. Bloody Face against Reynad basically sent Reynad a text and was like, hey, next turn, me, you, Savage Roar combo and chill. And, you know, Reynad obviously tried to ward against it, and it doesn't always pan out for the player who's making that aggressive line, but if you don't do that, what else are you going to do? Your hand doesn't cater to any other play.
Yep.
Quickly.
it looks like Trump's going to take advantage of Effigy now and copy the Mana Worm.
I think that he's just going to go straight for the face. He does choose to trade. Interesting.
Oh, it's
Checking
counterspell.
Yeah, checking for effigy there.
Could be Mirror Entity as well.
Trump has a perfect counter for the coin, though. Or, sorry, for counterspell.
Well, that Arcane Missiles, ironically, is a pretty good draw.
Counterspell perfectly counters the coin.
That's a good point.
Savage Combatant also picked up off the Web Spinner. I didn't realize that was a beast.
Like I said, everyone's running in this tournament.
It's pretty good.
Including Rexar.
I was saying that Savage Combatant is pretty nasty as a web spinner because you can continue to push out a lot of damage early on. But now Trump is presented with another problem. It's like, well, do I address this Lotheb? Where do I have room to be aggressive? Do I have room to be aggressive? Firebat has only one goal in mind. That's to punish his opponent as hard as he can for damage.
This is a tough spot to be in. I mean, Trump honestly has to consider what are the odds that my opponent can just kill my Haunted Creeper and then kill me. I mean, Firebat literally just launched a fireball in his face on turn 6 when Trump was at 18. You know, that's, again, it's not very subtle. I think the hands are face up right now. Trump's just trying to figure out what's the best way to actually get through it.
Yeah, I think he can interpret, like, my opponent probably has, like, a Frostbolt or another Fireball. Trump's trying to figure out the sequencing here. He doesn't want to trigger the knives from the Knife Juggler and ultimately kill the Boombots. He needs to also move quick. He also has to be careful of the trap. Or the secret, excuse me. It's not a trap.
Oh, man.
Looks like the Knife Juggler did survive based off the way he's targeting, and he's going to set up the high main. Setting up a date with Boombot and the face. But will that connection land? No!
Well, he's down to 10. Is Firebat feel like... Is Firebat feeling frisky this turn?
He hypothetically has lethal.
Is Firebat feeling frisky this turn?
We've seen it before in this tournament. Arcane Missiles has basically like an 80% chance to go face.
It's actually a 1% chance to go if they hit 3 times to the face and 5 targets, right?
Well, this is still a pretty good sequence, I think, for Firebat. He is going to drop Trump down to 8. And sitting at 23 health, I think he feels pretty darn comfortable about this position.
It's important to note that the Lotheb also doesn't actually block the Fireball on the next turn.
It does, though, in the sense that it blocks... Oh, you're right, because he
won't be able to hero power with it.
Right, he can't kill anyways. It blocks a potential Frostbolt top deck, though, for example.
Oh, please give us the Howling... or not Howling, the Houndmaster onto Savage Combatant.
Well, there's the Savage Combatant.
That's not even a beast, that's a Druid. That Houndmaster is... Oh, no, he doesn't even do it.
Yeah, I mean...
He's the Hyena.
He's just going to push for damage, and this, honestly, Firebat is in a bad position right now.
Yeah.
I don't know if Firebat can actually win this game. I think that Lotheb's about to just shut him out.
Trump.
No, he's got 17 damage just on board, right?
Yeah.
So Firebat has to fireball the 5/4. Otherwise, he dies to just what's on board here. And then Trump realizes, like, please don't have Fireball Frostbolt, because he knows that he probably has one of those pieces, but just don't top deck it. Fireball has to go on the highest attack minion.
Yeah, Trump feels safe right now. So he goes, you know what? It doesn't take Firebat this long to count to 8. I think I got this one.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Firebat kind of in a awful position now. How do you even climb back into it?
Well, it's probably going to have to climb back in it in game number 4 because Trump is way out in the lead right now.
Wait. He's still going to play Lothep instead, though, because ultimately it's the safest play up against Arcane Intellect into weird stuff.
Or even just say, there's a random Pyroblast in here.
I was going to say.
Well, I mean, say, realistically, he gets Arcane Intellect and 2 Frostbolts, and then the Shredder suicides into a Spell Power minion, right?
Well, I can tell you,
there are those weird fringe scenarios.
I can tell you what, Archmage, Firebat does require some assistance, but he needed it a lot earlier than right now. Firebat has no way to climb out of this one, and Trump takes a 2-1 lead in the series.
So he's down to his Druid deck, I believe, up against Firebat's Mage and Firebat's Druid himself. So he's going to have to win the Mirror as well up against Tempo Mage. 2 matchups which could go either way, although we're starting to favor Firebat's Mage over the Druid these days.
Yeah, I would tend to think so. If he's going to build this Tempo Mage deck, I would venture to say that Druid was definitely a class he had in mind. I feel like he's definitely favored in that one. What it's really going to hinge on to me is this Druid matchup. Whoever gets ahead and whoever's willing to be more aggressive and not be the first one to blink, as long as they have the tools to follow up, they're usually at a big advantage.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting how that game ended up going. You pointed out Flare in Trump's deck. It was never even a factor. And in the end, I wonder if Firebat even remembered that Trump had that secret up. It had just been so long. And I had said there was a world where that Snake Trap just didn't actually get procced. It did end up getting procced in the end. Didn't really matter too much.
It was this world, by the way, Rob.
Right.
Just to clarify.
Right, so it was. It did actually happen. So yeah, secrets didn't really play that much of a role in that game.
Yeah, no, we speculated Flare on the effigy, neither of which really mattered. In fact, Counterspell didn't even get activated because he never coined.
Yeah, well, Trump never had a kill command.
So Trump played perfectly around it by never activating the Counterspell. These guys are playing so high level.
It's possible.
Well, I mean, if you are Trump, and you did see that Firebat had the Counterspell in his deck.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's certainly a consideration if you don't feel you need the coin.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't need it that game. It was really just a matter of the curve being so strong.
Yeah, the reality is, it's not like there's some high-level thing like he didn't want to reveal the coin. Like, there's lots of ways that Trump could have played around a bunch of other secrets, and he tried to test if it activated on the important ones, okay? No effigy, okay, no mirror entity, I should be good.
This is going to be it, though, for Firebat if he can't win this next match. He's got to go ahead and get this next win against Trump. For Trump, it's just a matter of winning with this last deck, his Druid deck. And then he's clinched his spot at the America's Championship.
Yep. I wonder if Firebat's expended his luck maybe in the last series. Phone Tap was up 2-0.
Yeah.
And then he 3-0'd him from behind.
No, I mean, he still had some really good showings with the Patron, being able to get the Whirlwinds and back-to-back draws, practically speaking. You did have to cycle for it. But we'll see. We'll see. Druid versus Mage, one more time that we've seen it already, and we'll see it again. Trump is one game away from staying home in the Bay Area to play in the Americas Regionals.
I was going to say, Trump is one win away from a short 5-minute drive to the Folsom
He has
Street
to get
boundary.
on the BART train!
He will have to wake up and put on pants and drive to this place that is very near to his home.
Oh, I don't want to go anymore if I do that.
Yeah, sorry. I'll get hit you up later about that, but
Tough opening hand, I'd say, here for Trump. I mean, he does have option for Tincture Pilot Shredder, but also has option for turn 5 Dr. Boom, which is a pretty huge one. But, outside of the Innervate, doesn't have Wild Growth, doesn't have Darnassus Aspirant, so can get ahead early, but it's not really a big sustained lead unless that threat goes unchecked. This is a tough spot for him going first.
Yeah, not to mention that your opponent is most likely going to be pushing an early game board, so, having cards like Dr. Boom can get answered. It's kind of weird to think about. It's like, oh yeah, Innervate, turn 5 Dr. Boom, but he already has Flame Waker, Sorcerer's Apprentice, and Mana Worms, and actually Dr. Boom didn't do anything.
Yeah, we can see Firebat has options on this first turn. He could look into coining out the Mad Scientist, but obviously the coin is a very valuable resource in conjunction with the Flame Waker. Yeah. He has Arcane Intellect, which will allow him to later on get value out of the Flame Waker as well. But yeah, Trump
gets the Wild Growth.
Trump drew a pretty good card there.
Yeah, this does
dangerous for Firebat.
This does punish his keep a little bit though. Doesn't get the Pilot Shredder out just this turn. So it allows Firebat a turn to, maybe do something to get himself on board and maybe contest this stuff. So Trump now, does have the Keeper the Grove into this, but that's going to leave the Pilot Shredder on board.
Very curious to see if Counterspell plays a big role in this matchup. Obviously, he doesn't have the coin to throw away, and most of Druid's spells are kind of absolutely required, right? When you need to use them, you need to use them. You don't really have any good throwaway spells. Very interested to see what role that plays. Right now, though, Firebat staring down a piloted Shredder. Trump doesn't really have any great turn 5 options. He could look into possibly silencing the Mad Scientist, assuming it's still alive. But curious to see what Firebat does here. Could just put out his own Shredder. Looks like that's what he's going to do.
Yeah. So once again, drawn 2 Fireballs as well. In this matchup, I think they're a little bit better than they are in the Hunter matchup. But still, mucking up his hand pretty early on.
They're certainly better because there's a lot of mid-range minions from the Druid side, with that being one of them. In fact, Druid of the Claw is the primary target you Fireball. 6 damage, 6 health, taunt, gets in the way, and you can make proper trades. The only thing is that normally you start off a little bit quicker. You have Mana Worms early on, maybe Sorcerer's Apprentice, so they can gain some tempo, squeeze in an Unstable Portal. That's where the mage really gets its edge. Not to mention the secret that usually comes out as well out of the Mad Scientist.
Interesting. So Trump's going to favor using the silence here on the piloted Shredder rather than the Keeper of the Grove. And that's very, very unique to me.
Yeah,
and
that
even
is
starting to push damage on the face. I like this from Trump.
Yeah, he's choosing to play off curve, and that's a really bold move. And again, it's not a very obvious play, nor is it a path that many people take. And Trump wants to carve out this as his road to BlizzCon. And if he can ride away this tempo train, it might pay off huge dividends because Druid of the Claw here won't it be as punishing, because normally when you Fireball the Druid of the Claw, it's because your board is going to be at a big advantage. But if you Fireball the Druid of the Claw, you still have a pretty dominant board position afterwards.
Firebat punches right back, though.
Right, and this is kind of an interesting position in the Druid versus Mage mechanic. We see here, the Mage is the one with all the cards, and the Druid has none, because Firebat didn't have those early minions like Mana Worm to curve out and use a bunch of spells on.
Yet another counterspell has been pulled out. We know that the chances were higher because Firebat is holding Effigy, but still, I believe he's running 2 in the deck.
Is there just no Mirror Entity in this build? Because Trump has so far not been afraid of it whatsoever.
No, there's no Mirror Entity because Firebat is so insistent upon his own Effigy and tempo, like Toshli, like Ronin, like Water Elementals, and by that, you don't really need Mirror Entity to seize tempo because you're just protecting your board at all times.
Right, and the Effigy works really well with the higher mana minions he is using. He has Toshli in hand, you mentioned Ronin, even Water Elemental at 4 can usually give you a good tempo swing.
Well, just look at the consequence of what Trump did earlier on. Because he went off curve, he's rewarded with an Ancient War top deck, and we're talking about how he minimized the impact of the damage of a Fireball to the Druid of the Claw, because normally, when you're able to land Fireball on Druid of the Claw when you have a board, that's very good for the Tempo Mage.
Yeah, so a lot of damage on Trump's side of the board right now. Firebat going to have to rely on Toshli, but this is a dangerous position to be in. 11 points of damage available just in minions for Trump.
I think that oh no, the counterspell.
Yeah.
Oh, right, because it's like, oh, he has lethal, guys.
But that's a swipe top deck.
Trump, if he can detect the counterspell, triggers in the right sequence, then Trump will be going to the North American Regionals.
Wait, 11? Oh my gosh, he doesn't have the mana to hero power.
Oh, you're right. He doesn't have enough. He has only 8 mana. He can't trigger the counterspell and be able to squeeze in the hero power, but he can put him down to 1.
I wonder.
Wow, this is I think you go for it. I mean, this is as good a time as ever to get this Savage Roar off.
Counterspell has been activated, so here comes 19 damage, Firebat.
Wow, Trump gonna set Firebat down to 1, and if Firebat doesn't get an insane unstable portal, that's gonna do it. Trump's gonna be knocking him out and
what does he do?
Solidifying his own spot. He's gotta rely on the unstable portal.
Yeah, it's gotta be unstable portal right here.
What can he even do, though? He needs to land something really big, a big taunt minion.
No, even a Doomsayer doesn't save him. That's it!
That's not enough.
No. Oh, he was hoping for a Doomsayer off the Pilot Shredder, but looks like Firebat has been cornered. This is the World Champ's last stand.
There's actually no way out of this. Firebat has no way to win. He throws the played, and Trump is going to regionals, knocking the world champion out of the North American qualifier tournament.
TSM Trump coming all the way here in 2015 and punching his ticket to the regional finals. Congratulations, taking down the world champ. It can't feel